Have you ever wondered what happens when someone chooses kindness over revenge? What you're about to hear will shake everything you thought you knew about forgiveness. This is not just a story. This is a lesson that could change your life forever. Many years ago, in a forgotten village surrounded by endless fields, there lived a farmer and his wife. Their hands were rough from years of labor under the burning sun. Their backs ached from bending over crops day after day. But the deepest pain they carried was not in their bodies. It was in their hearts. They had no child to call their own. No laughter to fill their small home. Only silence and endless work. One night, when the sky was black and angry, rain poured down like tears from heaven. Thunder roared and lightning split the darkness. The farmer was walking near his field, trying to protect his crops from the storm, when suddenly he heard something that stopped him cold. A baby's cry. Faint but clear. Cutting through the storm like a knife, he ran toward the sound, his heart pounding. And there, lying helpless on the wet ground near his field, was a tiny baby boy wrapped in torn cloth. The farmer's hands trembled as he picked up the child. Who would abandon a baby in such a storm? Was the child even alive? But when the baby opened his eyes and looked at him, something shifted inside the farmer's soul. He rushed home and his wife gasped when she saw the child. Her eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of hope. Maybe, she whispered, maybe God heard our prayers and sent him to us. From that night forward, they raised the boy as their own son. They gave him everything they had. Love, care, values, and most importantly, they taught him one thing that would define his entire life: kindness, no matter what. The boy grew into a young man with a strong body and a pure heart. Every morning before sunrise, he was already in the fields, plowing the land, planting seeds with care, carrying water without complaint. While other young men in the village laughed and wasted time, he worked in silence, and something miraculous began to happen. His crops grew taller than anyone else's. His grains were bigger, healthier, golden like treasure. His harvests were so abundant that even during dry seasons, his field looked blessed. People noticed. But instead of celebrating his hard work, they did something ugly. They became jealous. Whispers spread like poison through the village. He must be using some trick. Maybe he stole seeds from someone. There's no way a poor farmer's son can succeed like this. The jealousy turned into cruelty. Some villagers mocked him openly. Others broke his tools when he wasn't looking. A few even trampled his crops on purpose, destroying what he had worked so hard to grow. But here's what's unbelievable. The young man never fought back. Not once. Not even with words. He stayed calm. He forgave them silently. And he worked even harder. He treated everyone with respect, even those who hated him. Even those who hurt him. This confused people. They didn't understand how someone could be so patient, so calm, so unshaken. Then one year, disaster struck. Heavy rains came without warning. The river near the village overflowed and swallowed the fields. Crops were destroyed. Homes were flooded. Everything the villagers had worked for was gone in one night. Hunger spread like wildfire. Children cried. Mothers wept. Fathers sat helpless, staring at empty plates. The village was dying. But one man had food left. The young farmer. Because of his careful planning and hard work, he had stored grain safely. He had enough to survive. Enough to live comfortably while others starved. And this is where the story takes a turn that will leave you speechless. He could have kept the food for himself. He could have sold it at high prices and become rich. He could have watched the same people who mocked him beg for help. But his heart wouldn't allow it. So every night, while the village slept under the blanket of darkness, he cooked food quietly. He walked from house to house, placing warm meals at people's doors. He made sure no one saw him. He didn't want credit. He didn't want thanks. He just wanted to help. Every morning, villagers woke up shocked to find food waiting for them. They had no idea who was doing this. Some thought it was a miracle. Others thought a kind stranger was passing through. But no one, not a single person, suspected it was him. The same young man they insulted during the day was the one saving their lives at night. Even while he fed them, they still treated him badly. They still mocked him. They still called him names. Can you imagine that? Feeding the people who hate you. That's not just kindness. That's something divine. One evening, after another exhausting day of work and cruelty, the young man sat outside his small home. He looked up at the stars and asked a question that many of us have asked in our darkest moments. Why do I get hate when I do good? Why is kindness always repaid with pain? What's the point of being good if the world only sees evil? But someone had been watching. An old man in the village, too weak to work but wise enough to see the truth, had noticed the young farmer sneaking out at night with food. He had followed him quietly and seen everything. The next day, when the villagers gathered in the square complaining about their troubles, the old man stood up with fire in his eyes. "You fools!" he shouted. "You call this young man a liar, a cheat, a thief. Do you want to know who has been feeding you every night while you starved? Do you want to know who saved your children from dying? It's him. The same man you insult. The same man you destroy. Without him, half of you wouldn't be alive right now." The crowd went silent. Faces turned pale. Eyes dropped to the ground. Shame washed over them like a wave. For the first time, they saw the truth. And the truth burned. But the story doesn't end there. That very night, royal guards arrived in the village on horseback. They carried the king's seal and demanded to see the young farmer. The villagers panicked. What had he done? Was he in trouble? But the guards weren't there to arrest him. They were there to confirm something unbelievable. Years ago, the king and queen had lost their only son during a terrible storm. The royal carriage had been attacked, and in the chaos, the baby prince was taken. They searched the entire kingdom but never found him. The queen cried every night. The king offered rewards, but the prince was gone. Until now, when the royal guard examined the young farmer, they found a birthmark on his shoulder. The same birthmark the prince was born with. The same mark described in the royal records. The truth exploded like lightning. The poor farmer's son was actually the lost prince. The king and queen arrived and ran to him, tears streaming down their faces. They embraced him, calling his name, holding him like they would never let go. The villagers fell to their knees, terrified. They had insulted royalty. They had destroyed the prince's crops. They had mocked the future king. The punishment would be severe. The king's face turned cold with anger. He ordered his soldiers to arrest the villagers and punish them for their cruelty. But then something happened that no one expected. The young prince stepped forward and knelt before his parents. "Father, mother, please," he said softly, "do not harm them. Yes, they hurt me. Yes, they treated me badly. But if I could forgive them when I had nothing, how can I punish them now that I have everything? Let us show mercy. Let us forgive." The king and queen were stunned. The soldiers froze. The villagers wept, overwhelmed by the grace of the man they had wronged so deeply. That day, the prince didn't just reclaim his throne. He won something far greater. He won hearts. He earned respect not through power, but through kindness. From that day forward, he was known not just as the heir to the throne, but as the Prince of Mercy. His parents, the humble farmer and his wife who raised him with love, were honored and brought to live in a palace. They were celebrated as heroes who taught a prince the most important lesson of all. True power lies not in revenge, but in forgiveness. And the village? It transformed. People learned that cruelty and jealousy may rise like storms, but they always pass. What remains, what truly lasts, is kindness. Kindness leaves behind light, hope, and love that never fades. So ask yourself this. When life treats you unfairly, when people hurt you for no reason, what will you choose? Revenge or forgiveness? Hate or love? Because how you answer that question will define not just your story, but your legacy. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And remember, the world doesn't need more anger. It needs more people like the prince. More people like you, choosing kindness even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard.